right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, Joe.
Whole new world over
Thank you
here.
for coming, everyone. Trying something a little different today with our clerk closer to the podium for when people need to hand things in. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Supervisor Moore,
Present.
Councilman Neely,
Present.
Councilman Iacilli.
Present.
Councilman Powell,
Here.
Councilwoman McNamara. Present.
Thank you. All right, I move to approve the minutes from the Town Board meeting of July 28th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Madam Clerk, would you please read the communications?
The following communications have been received in the office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from the Village of North Haven, Zoning Board of Appeals hearing notice for 11 Harbor Drive, North Haven, and 84 Sunset Beach in North Haven. New York State Liquor Authority 30-day advance notice to local municipality from the listed applicant, and financial disclosure statement filings from the listed individuals. The following correspondence was received regarding the following: Optimum program notice concerning changes to non-promotional video and equipment pricing, planning board matter of 911 Flanders LLC Flanders, preservation of 107 Jessup Avenue Quogue, proposed Liberty Gardens settlement, proposed acquisition of the former U.S. Coast Guard property in West Hampton, proposed replacement of the CR 80 train bridge, Hampton Bays, sidewalk maintenance and snow removal legislation, and urgent need for a comprehensive pedestrian and bicycle safety plan. The following bid and RFP submissions were opened Wednesday, July 29th, for the bid for the boat ramp reconstruction for Peconic Road and Corwin Lane. The following report was filed from the Landmarks and Historic District Board for Certificate of Appropriateness for 2426 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton. And that concludes the communications for this meeting's agenda.
Thank you. I have, there are 6 proposed walk-on resolutions. The first is number 1210 to recall and amend Resolution 2026-1158. The second is 1211 to recall and amend Resolution 2026-0952. Authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Source Pass Contemporary LLC for Parks North Sea Barn Network infrastructure upgrades. The third walk-on is number 1212 to authorize a change order for sidewalk improvements at Noyak Road with Rosemar Contracting. The fourth is number 1219, the warrants number 15. The fifth walk-on is number 1220, a notice of public hearing to consider the acquisition of 27 Dune Road in the hamlet of East Quogue and to amend the CPF project plan and CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property. And the sixth is number 1221, to authorize the supervisor to sign a grant agreement with North Sea Maritime Center and the use of Water Quality Protection Fund to support its educational mission. I move to add these 6 walk-ons to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the first public hearing?
Certainly. Public hearing number 1, to consider the acquisition of 202, 204, 208, 212, and 214 Old Country Road and 4 scrub lots in Eastport, Remsenburg, Spionk, and Northampton, and amend the CPF management and stewardship plan to include those properties.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jackie Fenlon, Director of Community Preservation. Oops, sorry. I am here before you today. We are very excited. This was actually a property that was brought to us early on, but also was supported by Suffolk County Legislature. They had reached out to us. We were already evaluating the property. And I did want to make a correction on the record. The 2 properties to the north of Sunrise Highway, which I will point to, those are very large parcels, but those are also included in the purchase. So we have all of the property addresses and tax map numbers correctly referenced, but the acreage actually totals 125.7 acres. So it's even larger acreage than what was noticed, but I wanted to make that correction formally on the record today. It will be reflected in the acquisition resolution. But it was because it was the two north of Sunrise Highway, unfortunately, that were missed when they were calculating the acreage for the resolution. But these are a total of 12 properties that we're preserving today. Some of them are located in the Central Pine Barrens Core Preservation Area, as well as the ones to the south have wetlands and are sensitive. So I just wanted to correct that on the record. And then also, this is in an estate, and also there's a trustee, so I'll just name the property owners, which are all essentially the same individual who is principal, but just for the record, I'll name them all. It is Victor A. Gallo, AKA Victor Gallo Jr., individually, and as successor, executor, and sole testamentary trustee under the last will and testament of Victor V. Gallo, and as successor trustee under the last will and testament of Mafalda Gallo, who is the purported owner of the 125.7 acres. So the properties do have addresses at 202, 204, 208, and 212, and 214 Old Country Road. There are 4 scrub properties that are also included in this property purchase and acquisition. So I will not repeat all those names, but Victor A. Gallo is the purported owner, and they have expressed an interest in selling these properties to the town for $3.275 million.
Jackie, can you just do us a favor, and can you just point out again where the properties are, and if Kevin,
Sure.
you might be able to zoom in so that folks at home can see?
So,
Thank you.
Green card.
Much appreciated.
yeah, so the first area I pointed at was south of Sunrise Highway, so they're very long properties. And then the second 2 are north of Sunrise Highway. So those could not be developed there in the core, but they could be utilized for transfer of development rights for further development. So, and as you can see by the green that's highlighted on these aerials, it'll help complete preservation patterns in this area. So we've got a significant amount of acreage and bordering town and county properties that
The
have already
green
been
is
preserved.
preserved.
The green is already preserved, yes. Yep, so the yellow ones highlighted in yellow and outlined in yellow will be the ones that the town will be acquiring through this acquisition. Yep.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Jack? Well, I don't believe we have a card. I have one card that doesn't reference a public hearing, so I'm not sure if it's John McNearney. What public hearing did you want to speak to?
This is regard to the property Hills.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so we'll put you right in there. All right, well, Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom for this first public hearing?
No one on Zoom.
All right. If nobody has any other comments, then I move to close this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Madam Clerk, please read the notice for the second public hearing.
Public hearing number 2, to consider the acquisition of 1719 North Sea Road in the hamlet of North Sea and amend CPF project plan and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include this property.
Good afternoon again. Jackie Fenlon, Director of Community Preservation. We are here before you today to consider the purchase of approximately 10 acres of land, which is highlighted in yellow here. So this is a portion of the overall property, which is 25.6 acres. The subject of a subdivision application currently being reviewed by the Planning Division and Planning Board. This is owned by the Northwick Farm LLC and Mangano Family Realty LLC, and they have expressed an interest in selling approximately 10-acre portion for the amount of $7,200,000. This would be included into the project plan under the open space target area, and we also recommend including this in the stewardship plan if it needs any stewardship efforts.
On to the left of the property, is that not included, and is that on the other side? Yeah, that is just going to be...
This is privately held, but this is Nature Conservancy. This is Southampton Town. This is Southampton Town as well, and as I always remind the board, this kind of dashed red and black line, that is the very important Paumanok Path, which is directly located to the south. And if people are familiar, this is in close proximity, not directly nearby, but this is Big Fresh Pond, and this is Elliston Park right here, just to give everyone. So this is preserved here. And then this would add to this, but this does have two sensitive pockets of wetlands, and it is really pristine condition. This used to be a farm and is going to be considered for a future subdivision, which will be under the review of the planning board. But this is really in very nice condition, and would preserve 10 acres of pristine woodlands.
Great.
Is that not the same owner on the other side, though?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's a separate owner.
All right, any questions for Jackie? I don't have any cards for this. So, Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom for the second public hearing?
No one on Zoom.
Oh, I'm sorry, I do have a card.
Oh, I was actually about to introduce, I didn't
Michael.
want to interrupt, but the applicant's representative, Wayne Bruin, is here.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Wayne Bruin, O'Shea, Marcinsiga Bruin, for the Mangano and Kremborg families. Longstanding residents of the town. Family owns properties to the south. And as you mentioned, they're before the planning board now, and this proposed acquisition by the town would represent probably 3 or 4 acres more than what the planning board would be allowed to achieve through clustering. And the subdivision we're proposing is a reduced density subdivision as well. So the family, and Mr. Mangano is here, would hope that the board would move forward on this acquisition. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Wayne. I do actually have a couple cards. Sheila Comparetto. Is that you, Sheila? Come on up.
Good afternoon, members of the Town Board. My name is Sheila Comparetto. I'm a resident of North Sea. I live on North Sea Road. I'm here to speak on behalf of Stephanie McNamara, President of the North Sea CAC, the dedicated members who have always fought to protect open space in our hamlet, and myself as a concerned North Sea resident. We want to begin by thanking the board and the Community Preservation Fund for recognizing the value of this land. We understand that CPF has proposed the purchase of 10 acres at 1719 North Sea Road. However, we must be candid and ask the critical question: why are we not proposing to purchase all 25 acres? The following comments are my personal position on it. Leaving 15 acres vulnerable to development compromises the very goals the CPF was created to achieve. The entire parcel demands full protection on 3 critical accounts. First, environmental protection. A development site map shows multiple proposed lots directly abutting on the eastern side of Scotts Road. Directly across this road, on the western side, lie contiguous wetlands and highly sensitive ecosystems, including Scallop Pond. Introducing residential development here poses an immediate threat to the fragile water bodies through chemical ground permeation and habitat disruption. Developed lots simply do not belong along the Scotts Road corridor. Second, the preservation of historic character. Scotts Road is unique to the Hamptons. It remains one of our few surviving untouched country roads. Its natural beauty and undeveloped state offer a glimpse into our history. A bucolic landscape that once developed can never be recovered. Third, the reality of overdevelopment and traffic. Every single person in this community is already dealing with the daily gridlock of overdevelopment. And I have to personally say it's not this town board's fault. It's 2 previous, maybe 3. Adding more residential lots means adding more cars to an overcrowded road. It is not just the future homemakers. It's the endless influx of construction, service, and maintenance vehicles that each new home requires permanently. The CPF has collected over $1 billion, It continues to generate immense revenue through the 2% real estate transfer tax and accrued interest. The community has funded this tool generously. We have reached a point where CPF has the financial power and the obligation to purchase significant open space lots in their entirety
30
when they
seconds.
come to market. Partial preservation is a compromise we do not need to make. We implore the town board and CPF to purchase all 25 acres of the parcel. Let us ensure the integrity of our environment, protect the shrinking beauty of the Hamptons, and fulfill the true uncompromised mission of the Community Preservation Fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. My understanding is the owner is only offering to sell 10 acres to the town. So Jackie, would you care to speak to that?
Yes, you are correct, Madam Supervisor. In this case, the family has chosen only to provide a willing seller letter for the approximate 10 acres along the west. And in discussions and preliminary discussions, that is the most sensitive area. So that was agreed upon mutually with the family as well as CPF as to act on that first and foremost. They do have the right for a residential subdivision on the property. This would reduce the density as Wayne has provided. So we are, right now we're doing what we can to preserve this property.
So are they two different lots?
No, they are one lot. Yeah, so this would purchase a 10-acre portion, which would be, our contract is subject to the subdivision.
We've done that before, where we've purchased portions of
correct.
properties, not completely before any subdivision.
Absolutely. Yep, and we have to deal with a willing seller, and the willing sellers, that's what they've given us permission to do. Obviously, we'd like to see more preserved in this area, but they do obviously have existing development along North Sea Road, and they have to consider, different family dynamics and estate purposes for the family as well.
And in some issues like this, I mean, this is how some local people choose to allow their children and grandchildren to stay in Southampton, is by selling off a portion of their property and then allowing them to build on what's left. In this case, I would thank them for allowing us to purchase the most sensitive portion of the property, but they'll more than likely use those proceeds to keep their kids here. So they are longstanding local families.
All right, thank you. There's one last card, Raymond Clare. Raymond, yes, my Raymond.
Who's ever looking for a pen, here it is. Good afternoon, everybody. Raymond Clare, Four Cove, Neck Lane, North Sea, home of the largest estates left in Southampton. I'm speaking on for the North Sea CAC. We're not really against this, and I'm glad to see it's going to be somewhat preserved. And that is about all I have to say. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support. Kevin, Wayne, do you want to recap?
I just want to acknowledge what Councilwoman McNamara indicated. One of the goals here of the Mangano and Kremborg family is to provide for the future of their kids. And as this board knows, affordable housing is at a premium here, and the only way they can be assured to keep their family is to provide future lots. So the yield on this property is 22, 23 lots. And the planning board, it's an R40 zone, the planning board would be able to get 25%, which is roughly about little over 6 acres on this property. So the alternative to this proposal is to do a full yield subdivision map, have the planning board cluster. You would get about 6 acres, probably in the same location. But you would get all this extra development. What the families are trying to achieve is to have this sale where you'd get additional 38%, I believe, open space rather than 25%. And they're only retaining 10 lots and 5 lots for each family member. And they have family members that they need to provide the future for. And that includes the existing house on the property that will be established on one of the lots as well. So that is the plan, and this is a balancing that I'm sure this board would appreciate. It is that future affordable housing and providing open space in the most sensitive part of the property.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin, is anyone on Zoom for this public hearing number 2?
No one on Zoom.
Thank you. All right, well, if there's no other questions, then I move to close this second public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the third public hearing?
Public hearing number 3, to amend Town Code, Chapter 330 zoning, Section 105K1, to add nonprofit animal shelter to the list of quasi-public uses that may exceed 15,000 square feet of gross floor area, subject to special exception approval.
Afternoon, Board. Janice Scherer, Town Planning and Development Administrator. Yes, this is an amendment proposed to the zoning code section 330-105K, where we have a list of different uses that can exceed 15,000 square feet in highway business. Sorry. And under section 1, so it's like a church, a library, a museum, a fire station, and this 1D would say, the wording is animal shelter, where a bona fide nonprofit corporation guarantees to develop and maintain the resultant facility. So we did have a work session about this, and I'm here to answer any questions. We do have the animal shelter folks here to talk to you about why that's important to them.
Yeah,
know if you-
if I can actually, Chris, would you mind coming up and, Mr. Cavalos, would you mind coming up and just?
My pleasure, Councilman.
Thank you.
And
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor and Honorable Board. It is with great pleasure that I'm representing the Animal Shelter Foundation in Southampton. My name is Chris Cavazos, and I serve as part of the Board of Directors for the foundation. First of all, I want to acknowledge the foundation's gratitude to this board and prior boards. You all have been very supportive of what we're trying to do in the community since we were formed in 2010. We encourage the board to amend the code in a way that allows the shelter to meet its future needs. We're here to support this code amendment, and we appreciate it that the board put this agenda, agenda so quickly, aligned with our intent to purchase land in Hampton Bays to build a new animal shelter. Speaking on behalf of all of our staff, our army of volunteers, the animals in our care, the community that we serve, we're very excited about the future of what we envision in a new shelter facility. The primary reasons that we're looking aspirationally at wanting to build a shelter in the future is that we don't know how many of you have visited our shelter to potentially foster or adopt animals. We do a lot in 13,000 square feet, and we've made the most of the space that we're in, and we're grateful to the town for allowing us to do what we do in that space. But it does provide us with some limitations. If you walk into our shelter, when you enter into our lobby, you will also see that we're housing animals in the lobby, just because of space considerations. That poses challenges for the public who have allergies to certain animals, and it prevents adoptions. We also envision quiet meet and greet rooms for fosters and adopters to come into our shelter and meet animals that they want to provide either a temporary or permanent forever home. And our current facility does not really allow that experience. So when we have the public coming in to see animals, we're oftentimes challenged to even find the space to allow those interactions. Our veterinary clinic, we do great work, but we're also limited in space. There's tremendous medical technology that's out there that requires more space, and having more space to provide more enhanced veterinary care would be something that we would benefit from, the community would benefit from in terms of the care that we provide to animals. A couple more items. We envision a separate facility that allows us to train dogs when they're in our care. Currently, we use a room that is adjacent to our vet clinic, and it does impede a dog's ability to learn when there's constant interactions, and having a separate facility to allow that experience for dogs would enhance their learning. And lastly, many of you know that we're very committed to doing humane education in the community. We're going out into the school systems, civic organizations, faith-based organizations, and we'd like to do more of that in our shelter, because when we have the community coming into our shelter, it allows them more experience and more exposure to the very animals that we're trying to get into forever homes. And then lastly, a lack of storage is enormously problematic for us. We have engaged an architect firm. We've begun doing initial work with them. We're waiting on the outcome of the code amendment to continue that work so that we can prepare a more final site plan for the planning board. But we envision an aesthetically, nice to look at facility with lots of vegetation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cavazos. If I could just say really briefly, I appreciate your work and the animal shelter's work, and I know how much this will mean to folks that are seeking to really make a greater impact for the foundation and for the broader community. I know that you are limited in your current space because it is a town facility, number one, and there are certain limitations on what you could do in that building. So this is a very important step forward, and I want to really thank your team. B is here with the animal shelter and many of the members, board members, volunteers, and I just really commend you for your really diligent work to protect our animals. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember.
And I would add to that, my wife and I have adopted 3 dogs through the shelter, and our experience has always been good working with everybody at the shelter. I do see a little bit of that kind of scrambling for space, that goes on the occasions I've been there. So, again, I would certainly support your efforts.
Thank you, Council. Member Neely.
I have one more question. How does the cat select a new home? Or do they miss the one in Southampton?
I'm sorry?
Cats.
How do the cats select a new home, or do they miss the house in Southampton, Moses?
We're so grateful to the town for allowing us, and we went through a massive repair project that we worked in tandem with the town to help us with, and the cats actually did very well in that house. It was interesting because when they came back to the shelter, we saw improvements in how they were with each other and with staff, and that just reiterates the very work that we do at the shelter. We need to get these cats into a home, because that home environment, while they were sharing it with very loving staff, caring staff, but with a lot of different cats, it was more like a home environment than our shelter. And we attributed that temporary home experience to the improvements in the behavior that we saw when the cats returned to our shelter.
Well, you're doing a wonderful job with social media and getting the word out for the adoptions. I always enjoy the videos. All right, thank you.
Thank
Bea,
you.
would you like to come up and speak?
Hi, Bea Parrish, Director of Operations. I don't have too much more to add to what Chris said. I just want to reiterate how we're more than a shelter. We're a community safety net for the people and the animals in this township, and we provide a broad range of services, and I don't think often people understand, residents, how much we provide. And I just wanted to run through a list of those things: the low-cost veterinary care, spay and neuter services, trap and neuter return programs to humanely manage and stabilize cat population in our township, the pet pantry service, vaccination and microchipping, so helping to protect animals and reunite them, reunite lost pets with their owners, humane education, training and behavior services, adoption and rehabilitation, to name a few. So I just encourage residents to come in and take a look and see what we do for the community. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. right, the last speaker on this public hearing is Carl Benacasa.
Good afternoon, members of the board, Madam Supervisor, Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, on behalf of the Southampton Animal Shelter Foundation. Echoing what Chris and Bea just said, you know, the services provided by the foundation are very much quasi-public. They serve a need that the community has with respect to caring for and maintaining good housing for these animals. And that public service is not only indirect, it's direct in their cooperation and work with the town's animal control as far as providing services and housing for the animals that come through that system. The exceptions to this code that have existed before are all about quasi-public uses. Museums, libraries, churches, all these institutions, municipal buildings, obviously, fire stations, all these institutions that serve the greater good. And that's certainly something that this Animal Shelter Foundation does. As you've heard, both during our May work session and through the process here, the needs of this facility are one that really demand more than 15,000 square feet. Because remember, you're not only providing habitable space for human beings and the volunteers and people looking to adopt and providing veterinary services, but also for these animals. So when you look at the legislative history of this code restriction, they were really focusing on expanded retail uses. And this couldn't be further from that. So again, I want to thank the board for considering this and again, for acting so promptly and getting this on the agenda. And of course, if you have any questions, I'm here and members of the board of the animal shelter are here as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom for this third public hearing?
No one on Zoom.
If there are no other comments, then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the fourth public hearing?
Public hearing number 4 for the consideration of a local law amending Chapter 330 zoning of the Southampton Town Code to add a new section 330-248W district entitled the Hills Southampton Mixed Use Plan Development District to allow a limited number of golf memberships available to non-residents of the Lewis Road PRD with several public benefits, including the dedication of over 32 acres to the town and establishing perpetual public easements on certain areas of private land for a public recreational trail and public parking.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
we're supposed
we
to
can do 5
introduce
together
it.
too, right, with public hearing number 5, I think we're
We're
gonna.
doing
Are we
fine.
doing those together?
I thought we were
supposed to do them
separately. No?
Kathleen Murray, I was just wondering if she was introducing it and then get into it, but I'm happy to if you would like me to. Do you want to call both of them together first, or you want to do them
If
separately?
we could call,
Okay, would
public
you
hearing number
please?
5 as well.
Okay. Public hearing number 5, to consider amending Town Code, Chapter 312, Vehicles and Traffic by adding a new Article 26 entitled Spinney Road Recreation Segment.
Hi, Janice Shearer, Town Planning and Development Administrator again, Madam Supervisor and Town Board. This is a local law. The first one is more what I can speak to than the second one that was just called, but the idea is to put forth a local law pursuant to your settlement with DLV related to the subdivision and site plan golf course. And what would happen is everything basically is the way it is. Nothing will change. And the only change proposed is to allow for outside memberships. And then there is a significant amount of public benefit that the town will realize. That was basically lost when it went, when the PDD did not get adopted initially, and they went through a regular as-of-right yield. There were certain amenities and benefits that were lost, and now we can have the opportunity to recover that, and I think that's, you know, an important thing to consider. So I don't have the local law in front of me. I was under the impression Kathleen Murray was proposing it to you, but of course their counsel and everyone is here.
Well, my question is that what should we be, this is all great, but shouldn't we be looking at the settlement first and voting on those items before we?
We voted on the settlement last board meeting, I
I
believe.
mean, this is,
This is the public hearing on the PDD law that would institute basically the terms of the settlement.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a local law that would enact the PDD, and in doing so, basically memorialize the site plan and subdivision that has already been done. It's already been filed, everything is already there. What's happening here is that there are the ability for DLV to have, the Hills Golf Course to have some outside memberships, and in exchange, also their side of the settlement is to allow the town community to realize the substantial public benefit.
If you recall, we voted, the town board voted on the stipulation settlement at the last board meeting, subject to the approval of the
Subject to this
local
hearing.
law.
So this hearing is
that's how
to
it-
institute that law.
It's not Kathleen. Scott Creppen is here also, who represented us. He's our outside counsel. Scott can also expand on it.
I just have a Janice question before you step
Yes,
away.
please.
So an important part of this to me is that currently, the way it's structured with the PRD, any changes requested would go to the planning board, and they're limited in their scope of what they can and can't kind of authorize. As a PDD, then any major changes would come back to the town board and be subject to public hearing and changing the actual code or the actual PDD law.
Absolutely. And that was
The
very
PDD
important.
laws are all structured so that in any instance, if someone wants to amend something, they come to you.
Like to that point, like when we did Can You Place In, I wasn't a part of the original PDD, but when it came back, I mean, it was something as insignificant as signage on the property. It came before this board.
Yes,
And
and
we
that
had a
will be the
public
case
hearing and we
again.
amended the law. So it's a
Correct.
very transparent public process by which any changes in the future would be made.
Yes. And the zoning actually pulls in that plan and recognizes the boundaries of the entire property as part of that PDD. So there's no piece that can't be, that isn't part of that. So it's all together.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Right.
Would you like to hear from our council or?
Scott can come.
yes, someone should walk us through the terms.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott Creppen. I'm a partner with the Law Office of Devitt Spellman Barrett in Hauppauge, New York. We're representing the town and the town board in connection with the litigation that was commenced by DLV in 2018 related to the rezoning of what's now known as the Hills subdivision, as well as additional litigation that was commenced in 2025 related to the use of Spinney Road. So this has been going on for 6 years. And the idea of this particular area being used for mixed uses of a golf course as well as residential development goes back over 20 years. Just to give you a quick background of the genesis and how we got here, in the early 2000s, when the town was reevaluating its comprehensive plan and doing hamlet studies, it looked at this area in connection with the East Quogue Hamlet study and determined that the preferable course of action in rezoning everything to CR 200, meaning 5-acre residential zoning, the preferable course of action for that area, rather than building it out in 5-acre lots, would be to have a mixed use with a golf course and a residential development that was clustered and would preserve open space. And that was incorporated into the town's comprehensive plan in 2008. Going forward, when the Discovery Land purchased this property and asked for a change of zone, that was initially shot down. This was the PDD law that Janice was just referring to. In 2017, there was a proposed zoning change that was considered by the town board at the time. What the board has in front of it today is, I'd say, much more well-written and carefully tailored, and is the result of years of discussions with DLV and this board and prior boards, particularly over the last year, to try to bring this to a resolution that is better than something that we could obtain by litigating to conclusion. The board at the July 14th hearing approved a settlement, which has now been submitted to the court and was approved by the Suffolk County Supreme Court last week on August 5th, subject to, what the settlement does is stay the litigation, subject to the town conducting these public hearings and deciding whether or not to pass the two local laws that are the subject of these hearings. One of which is rezoning the Hills project area, and the other one is imposing parking regulations and traffic regulations, which my colleague John Flannery will speak about in a moment. To look at this has now been out for at least a month for the public to review, but looking at the rezoning law that's under consideration, you'll see there's several whereas clauses which go through the history and background, and the substance of the law. Boundaries are what is currently the Hills development, as well as the area to the north that is preserved and will become a public hiking trail. And the permitted uses within the Hills Mixed-Use Plan Development District. There's two things, and obviously everyone can read in detail every word, but there's two things that I want to highlight and point out. One is that we've limited the outside memberships to 177 memberships, which is unique. If you look at the way other PDDs and other zoning legislation is crafted, it doesn't limit the actual number of outside memberships for golf courses or generally otherwise. And here, with a golf course, you have a self-limiting factor that there's only so many people that can actually have tee times at any given time. But because there is a great concern about not making this use overly intensive, we're taking what's already been approved as of right for the clustered subdivision and the golf course that's already being built and available to the residents of the subdivision, and we're opening that up to allow for outside members to use the course. This was included so that it's an extra layer of protection to make sure that this does not become too intensive of a use. Also, if you look at the permitted uses, and this is something that Councilwoman McNamara was just referencing, somewhat unique in a zoning law, if you look throughout the permitted uses, it ties back to the approved site plans. So this has already gone through extensive review by the Planning Board and by the Central Pine Barrens Commission to get where DLV is today in developing their residential subdivision and developing the golf course. In expanding the permitted uses to allow for outside membership, it incorporates that clustered subdivision, and as Councilman McNamara mentioned, now it's taken it to the town board that this is a piece of zoning legislation. So to amend those site plans, other than minor administrative amendments, because this is a residential neighborhood, so those residential homeowners would still have the ability to go for minor amendments for their homes, but any sort of major amendment would need to go to the town board, and all of the uses are specifically tied to the approved site plans. So this is not a situation where there's now a change of zone and Discovery Land can come back and say, we have new zoning, we want to drastically expand this project. The structure that's there, the layout that's there is now codified as part of the town zoning law. And it expands it to allow them to have private golf club memberships. The benefit, and whenever the town is rezoning, we're looking at the benefit to the general public, and particularly when they're looking at a PDD, they're balancing the benefit to the public that will be achieved by allowing that change of zone. There were substantial public benefits that were available initially when the change of zone was considered in 2017. At that time, this was forest. So what the court really urged us to do was look back, now that years have passed and there has been an approved subdivision and an approved golf course, look back at this and look at what the difference is between allowing these outside memberships to what's already there, using those facilities, as opposed to when the town was looking at this 9 years ago and you were looking at forest versus
Scott,
a proposed development.
Scott, if I may, I just want to, I have a question pertaining to my previous comment. What if we have these hearings and comments are made, information is gathered, there's some consideration made by the board that alters this in some sense? Does that do anything to the settlement that the court approved? That's my question about.
That's a good question.
How is this hinged on that, and what are the effects of any changes made?
So it's the legislative process.
Yep.
You have discretion to modify this however you feel, or to not approve it at all. If there were non-substantive modifications, the way the stipulation with the court is structured is that it's contingent on the town board passing a zoning law that substantially conforms to this proposed law which was attached. So if there were material changes that DLV did not agree to, that would negate the settlement. So if you wanted to make a material change, and DLV was not in agreement with it, that would wipe out the settlement. If there were minor phrasing, edits, things that are picked up in that regard that doesn't materially change the terms of what has already been submitted to the court and approved, those sort of edits would have no impact on the actual settlement itself. Otherwise, if it's something significant, the number of outside memberships, the boundaries, something of that nature, we would need DLV to agree to that, because the settlement is an agreement with DLV, whereas this is legislation that's solely by the board.
Understood. Thank you for the clarification.
Now, to discuss a condition of this rezoning are public benefits to the town. The biggest one is 32 acres, 32.4 acres at 436 Montauk Highway that is being dedicated to the town as public space. Or not as public, dedicated to the town without restriction. So it's not restricted to any particular use. It's given to the town for how it may determine in the future it best serves the interests of the town of Southampton. In addition, there's going to be monetary payments. So $1.5 million has been allocated as a monetary payment. Initially, when this was looked at in 2017, DLV was going to make particular contributions towards research efforts. The school district needs change over time, so rather than allocating particular disbursements to particular causes, it's a $1.5 million payment to the town to disperse how the town sees fit. In addition, this is tied into the transfer of other lots. There's outlots, and there's a strip of land along Serenity Place that John will speak to, where DLV is now purchasing these snippets of town land that are still within the Hills subdivision for $10 million. So that money would also be coming to the town as a benefit for this entire package. And importantly, one of the public benefits that was looked at in connection with the 2008 East Quogue study and has just repeatedly come up is access to public trails. And it became particularly important with Spinney Road. So one of the major things that this proposed legislation does, as a condition of DLV being allowed to have outside members and allow their golf course to be open to people other than the residents of the subdivision, is that Spinney Road is going to be preserved as a public trail in perpetuity. And again, John will speak to that further. In addition, they are going to help improve and maintain a town trail, this town-owned land to the east of the Hills development that will be, it's already a trail, it'll be improved, portions of it will be made handicap accessible, and there'll be connectivity between what's now private land owned by Discovery Land to the north, above the golf course, and the existing town trails to the east. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
On the trail portion, I'll just say that it did go before the Trails Advisory Committee. They are fully on board and fully ready, willing, and able to help dictate what those improvements should and could be.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. My name is John Flannery. I'm from the Wilson Ulster Law Firm. We are counsel to Superintendent McCardle on 2 out of the 3 litigations, that being the Spinney Road litigation and the Serenity Place litigation. The superintendent was not a party to the zoning litigation. So basically what the Spinney local law does as a component of this.
Is it the superintendent or the highway department? Or both?
Highway superintendent. Highway superintendent is who we represent. So what the Spinney Road local law does is to preserve the public's access to Spinney Road for recreational purposes. This came about in 2025. DLV commenced an action against the town. The highway superintendent sought to intervene and did intervene in the case because he had received numerous public comments that he should not agree to an abandonment of Spinney Road, that it had been used for generations, while not for vehicular traffic, namely, but by people walking their dogs, people hiking, people mountain biking, cross-country skiing. So the superintendent intervened, refused to abandon Spinney Road. As part of this settlement, what will occur is the superintendent, Spinney Road will be divided largely into what we call Spinney North and Spinney South, which is for the area north of Reed and Trail. The northern portion being from the golf course up to Sunrise Highway. The superintendent will agree to abandon that roadway in exchange for DLV providing an easement in perpetuity to the public to use for those recreational purposes that I just outlined. The Spinney South segment, the superintendent is proposing that the town enact this local law in order to restrict the use during the southern portion of Spinney Road, and similarly, it would be restricted to recreational purposes, namely biking, hiking, cross-country skiing, and those things. As part of that, DLV has agreed to maintain the northern section, and the town would maintain the southern section. DLV will provide a parking area at 67 Spinney Road, which, if people remember, was where the octagonal house was, that it has now been removed. In that area, they'll provide 4 parking spaces at their sole cost to construct and maintain for people wanting to use Spinney Road for recreational purposes. In addition, there will be a reciprocal gate system installed at DLV's expense and subject to DLV's maintenance, but with the highway superintendent's approval of the gates that are going to be installed. They will be designed so that emergency vehicles can have access, but it will prevent normal vehicular traffic, but permit mountain biking, cross-country skiing, hiking, and those things. In addition, DLV has agreed to enter into a maintenance agreement with the Highway Department for the maintenance of the intersection between Spinney Road and Reed and Trail, during which DLV will install crosswalks and maintain the surface to allow for access to the Spinney South segment. This is the main portions of what would be achieved during this portion of the settlement. And I'm happy to answer any questions if the board has them.
Not at this point, but why don't you stick around and call you back up.
I'd like to appear as counsel for the applicant. DLV. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Philip Carmel. I'm counsel to DLV, which is the developer of the hills. I'm very pleased to appear before the board this afternoon. Speaking after me will be Saul Scherl, the executive in charge of the project, and our final presenter will be planner Chick Voorhees, who's been the longtime planner helping us with this project. In 2022, the town planning board granted the project final subdivision and site plan approval. It has now been under construction for more than 3 years. The golf course has been fully built and was played last summer and is also being played this summer. The proposed zoning code amendment that you're having the public hearing on today will not allow any additional construction or development not already permitted by the planning board in the subdivision and site plan approval. It will allow a limited number of individuals who do not own property in the development to join the golf club. It is not uncommon for there to be disagreement in this community and every other community that I've touched in my professional life between those in favor of development and those opposed to development. That debate is not relevant here. This proposed zoning code amendment will not permit any additional development not already approved by the planning board. The town law, which is the New York State law that governs this town and every other town, requires that the town's zoning be in accordance with its comprehensive plan. And as Scott Kreppen, counsel to the town, mentioned in his presentation, the town's comprehensive plan was amended in 2008
to provide for a commercial golf club on the land at issue. So the proposed zoning amendment, which permits a commercial golf club, is sound land use planning. It is consistent with your comprehensive plan. On July 23rd, the planning board approved a resolution saying that it has no planning concerns with the proposed zoning code amendment. So we request that it be approved. The other local law that is the subject of today's hearing is the proposed law relating to Spinney Road north of where the pavement ends. This segment of Spinney is an unpaved dead end. There are no homes there, and virtually all the land on both sides is forested. For many years, there was a gate preventing motor vehicle access to this segment of Spinney Road. The proposed law will maintain the longtime status quo that this segment of Spinney is open to the public as a walking trail, bicycling trail, but is closed to motor vehicles. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Saul Sherrill, President of the Hills. Thank you, Phil. Good afternoon, Supervisor and Council members. My name, as Phil said, is Saul Sherrill. I'm the President of the Hills Project in East Quogue for Discovery Land Company. The Hills is a conscientiously planned residential golf community developed over the past decade following extensive environmental review and regulatory approvals. The Hills brings jobs to our area, tax relief, and local school district residents, and substantial benefits for the town and community-based organizations. We've worked very hard with the town and the Superintendent of Highways to settle our outstanding issues, and we're pleased to provide public benefits in connection with the rezoning and settlement of the project. The project, as you know, was approved by the Planning Board in December of 2022, and we broke ground at the end of February 2023. The infrastructure is now generally in place, including the utilities, the roads, and all the drainage and structures. Out of 110 homes that were approved, 22 homes have now been completed, and another 25 are currently under construction. We're pleased to be building the workforce housing in East Quogue. Its construction has now been permitted, and the contract has been fully awarded, with construction commencing this fall and a targeted completion date of December 2027. Other support buildings are either complete or under construction throughout the project. The golf course opened in the spring of 2025 with great reviews and feedback. The monitoring wells have been in place for over 2 years with reporting oversight by the town. The Hills is substantially constructed and meets the conditions of the town and other government requirements and agencies. As Phil said, there is no change to the project as previously approved by the Planning Board, only the ability to have some additional members. Now to the public benefits of this settlement. We've agreed to give the town our property, as was stated earlier, at 436 Montauk Highway, consisting of nearly 33 acres. We are paying $11.5 million to the town for public benefits, and how they are to be allocated will be determined by the town. We're working with the Town Trail Society to improve a trail system to the east of the project area located on the town land. We will pay to improve the trails and parking area on town land just north of the LIRR on Lewis Road. We're providing a pedestrian easement over the northern segment of Spinney right-of-way to preserve public access for pedestrians, dog walkers, and bicyclists. We're providing parking near the end of Spinney Road for public use for the Spinney Trail. We're making available the Hit to the Hills Golf Club 4 fundraisers each year for use by the local charitable organizations. 2 of the 4 fundraisers will support the East Quogue Fire Department and the East Quogue School District. These new public benefits come on top of already those that have been in place. The Hills has already donated 200 acres of land to the town and placed an easement on another 200 acres to preserve that land as permanent public open space. The Hills will also provide a significant infusion of tax dollars to the East Quogue School District, which will help lower the tax base for East Quogue residents. Thank you very much to the town and to the Superintendent of Highways for the significant effort and the time commitment in settling our differences. The agreement with the town, we believe, is a win-win for the Hills, the town of Southampton, and for all of our neighbors who will benefit for years to come for the settlement. Thank you.
What did you say about the school?
That the tax, we're restricted from residents year-round engaging in the schools, so the tax base that goes in will help improve the tax budget for the schools, if I understand correct, without adding burden onto the school itself.
It'll lower the school tax rate.
Lower the taxes.
They'll have no kids.
No, but,
Good afternoon, Supervisor and board members, representatives of the town. For the record, my name is Chick Voorhees of Nelson Pope Voorhees, and we're an environmental planning firm based in Melville, and I founded the firm in 1997. I've also spoken many times in front of this board, as you know. I'm a certified environmental planner with 48 years of experience providing these services across Long Island. And again, just for background, our team of scientists, engineers, and planners studied this project and prepared the environmental impact statement for the Hills MUPDD, which was developed and studied through the Seeker environmental review process for over 2 years, after which the town board, this board, adopted this finding statement in November 2017. The project was further analyzed by the planning board as the Lewis Road PRD, and our team has been supporting this project since 2014. So I'm very familiar with the project, the site, and the area. As Phil and others have stated, there are no physical changes to the project that was approved. So there are no changes with respect to this rezoning as far as the physical improvements. The only potential environmental impacts could be related to operations with additional members using the facilities. The plan for off-site club members was studied in the Hills EIS. The original plan was to have 118 residential members and 132 off-site members, and this settlement proposes 118 residential members already approved and 177 off-site members. But the environmental impact is the same, and that is all explained in the 2026 Seeker Technical Memorandum that you have in your records. To summarize, people traveling to the project from off-site would need to schedule a tee time to play golf, which is the primary draw of the club. Tee times are limited by a starting sequence that begins at 7 a.m. and extends through the afternoon hours during the primary golf season, which is from April to October of each year. With the required spacing between tee times, no more than 32 golfers can begin play within a single hour, limiting traffic flow to and from the facility. Even with outside members, most golfers will be people with a home at the property. We did complete many traffic studies. We studied the charity events, we studied off-site members, and the tee times were determined to be the limiting factor such that no traffic impacts are anticipated that haven't been fully evaluated in the prior traffic studies. All residences and amenity buildings are connected to the wastewater treatment plant approved by Suffolk County, so there are no additional significant impacts from any limited additional wastewater flow. Our firm did prepare the Seeker technical memo that I mentioned, and that also finds that there are no additional environmental impacts that warrant review based on the proposed items that we're talking about here today. That concludes my remarks, and I'm available to address questions if you have them.
Thank you. All right, well, let's move ahead with the public comment portion. I have several cards, so we ask that you please limit your comments to 3 minutes so that we can hear from everybody. The first speaker is George Demare, and well, and it's Chick, but he just spoke. Scott Crippen. And then Kathy Zambetti.
Good afternoon. My name is George Desmaris. I'm a full-time resident of East Quogue. I am also an active member of the East Quogue Fire Department, and I am a licensed professional engineer in the state of New York and retired after 40 years as a senior vice president with the largest engineering and architectural firm on Long Island. So I'd like to think that I've got a little bit of credit as far as, or being close to the facility. I've been on the facility 4 or 5 times, most of the time with responses with the local fire department, most of the time just with smoke alarms, minor type things. So I'm familiar with the project. I've got my work career, familiar with design projects, construction projects, things of that nature. And I do live, like I said, within an hour of the front gate of the Hills facility. So with that, knowledge is there. I've been on the site. It's nicely designed project. It's, the construction, I know 5 or 6 different people who work on the site, whether it be HVAC, electrical work, site work, excavation, and security personnel too. And they speak very, very highly of the people there, the project itself. So with that, it's pretty simple. I would recommend to the town board to sign and execute the settlement agreement. And if there are any financial considerations associated with that settlement agreement, that those funds be earmarked for the local community there for community improvement type projects, okay? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Kathy Zambetti, and then John McNerney.
Hello, my name is Kathy Zambetti. I'm the current chair of the East Quogue CAC and also a member of the Park District. I am not here to debate the settlement, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I believe it is a fair settlement. It's been going on way too long, and the residents of East Quogue have had no benefit whatsoever. So now with this settlement, we see a light at the end of the tunnel that we will get benefits, which is long awaited for everyone. No settlement is perfect, as we all know, but I think this is a step in the right direction and proves that the Hills are willing to work with the community. One aspect that members of our board wanted me to be very clear and insistent on is that a majority of the funds stay in East Quogue. It is not, we don't have anything against the other hamlets or villages, but we have endured these settlement issues and debates for 10 years. The money needs to stay in East Quogue. We need a community center. We need improvements with parking in town. There are many, many ways to fundamentally support the town of East Quogue. So I urge the town council and other members to reinforce the aspect of keeping a majority of the funds in East Quogue. I know the town has sustained expenses as well, but we really would appreciate the money to be spent in East Quogue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John McNerney, and then Julie Crowley.
Good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon, members of the board. I'm not a very good public speaker, so I'm going to make it really brief. I represent the Shinnecock Shores Homeowners Association, and it's 264 homes within that. We are currently in the process of trying to raise funds for our community park to bring it compliant with the ADA. We were floored recently when we started to get the bids back that it's over $250,000 for a playground. I couldn't believe the numbers, but they were pretty consistent. So somehow I got hoodwinked into volunteering, I don't know about that, but to try to raise funds for our community towards this reconstruction of our park. Now, I applaud the Hills and everything that they're doing. I also am in very big favor of it. My wife and I just last Saturday, or a week ago Saturday, took a ride down Spinney Road. I now know how to pronounce it. It's not Spiny, it's Spinney. And they couldn't have been more welcoming. They were, come on in, let's go. And we actually rode our bikes all the way to the very north end of it. And I think that's going to be a great asset for the people of the town. So I'm looking forward when it's paved, because it is staked out, but it was a little tough in some sand. So one of the benefits was charitable use, that there were 4 golf outings that were permissible, one to the East Quogue Fire Department, one to the East Quogue Grammar School, we would like to be considered as one of those other two outings. Again, we're trying to raise the funds, and $250,000 is a huge undertaking. Right now, we got $2,000 in our coffers, and I donated 1,000 of it, my wife and I. So we got a long way to go, and I think by orchestrating a golf outing would bring us at least closer towards that. And also, if the town has any parks, any equipment that they have that they're replacing, we found that that's a possibility. We're looking at that as an option that we can repurpose, recycle, whatever the case may be. We would be very interested in talking with you. So I thank you for that. And I don't know who I'd speak to at the Hills as far as who makes that decision as to who the other two community associations are, but we are 264 home sites within the village of East Quogue, and we need your help. So, thank you.
John, if you want
Great
to,
job, John.
if you want to reach out to me, I can put you in touch with the folks at the Hills, and we can.
I go by Jack also.
Jack, okay.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Jack, what was your last name again?
Is someone here from the East Quogue Fire Department
You spoke.
that needs to?
Thank you.
Sure. All right, well, Julie, why don't you come on?
Thank you, Supervisor Moore and the Town Board. Appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I appreciate your service. My name is Julie Crowley. I'm a long-term resident of East Quogue Hamlet. I'm happy to be living there for many, many years and raising our family in East Quogue. I do remember about 9 or 10 years ago the process of getting the approvals for Discoveryland, and you just remember all the angst that it caused a lot of the board and the community. I just want to read part of a letter that addressed Supervisor Moore and the rest of the board. I'll just read the last part of it because I think it's really important. We have had several conversations with community members, both on various committees and concerned citizens. We stress enough the importance of allocating the majority of the funds to stay in East Quogue. It is our community who have been actively involved in this litigation for years, and it would not be appropriate for the funds to be delivered to other hamlets who have not been involved in this dispute. We thank you for your time and your service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Glenn Bullock.
Good afternoon. My name is Glenn Bullock. I'm Chief of the East Quogue Fire Department. Just wanted to say that as a membership of the East Quogue Fire Department supporting this settlement, we had a department meeting last night, came up in discussion, and the full membership was in support of this. We also discussed how the financial end of this may impact potentially impact the East Quogue residents and the hamlet, and how we're in favor of these funds staying within the hamlet. I know there's many groups that have spoke on this. We support them. We support the funds staying within the East Quogue hamlet. The fire district itself, fire department, is looking at buying some new apparatus in the next couple of years, and we're going to have some expenditures as well. So keeping these funds in the hamlet, I think, will be benefit to the hamlet as a whole and the residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenn. All right, Christine Grant, and after Christine, Ann Algeri.
Sorry, my husband brushed me out of the house, so I didn't get to print this. I am Christine Grant. I'm the Secretary of the East Quogue CAC and a member of the East Quogue Board of Education, but I'm here today speaking for myself as a resident of East Quogue. I know there are residents of East Quogue who remain strongly opposed to the Hills and who have dedicated many years to advocating for what they believe is best for our community. I respect their commitment, and I understand and appreciate the concerns that they continue to have. But wherever each of us stands, East Quogue has to find a way to move forward together. That's why I feel so strongly that the proceeds of this settlement need to remain in East Quogue. I understand that much of this money comes from the sale of town-owned property, and therefore there is an argument that it should be spread throughout the town. But these sales are part of the resolution of an issue that has centered on East Quogue for more than a decade. The entire town of Southampton is receiving a very significant benefit resolving litigation that includes a $100 million claim, and removing that risk and uncertainty for taxpayers. In East Quogue, we have real needs. Our fire department and EMS should be a priority. A community center would be a wonderful and lasting investment. And the highway department deserves a portion as well. We would not be at this point without Charlie McCardle's efforts to find a path forward. Our community has been divided over the hills for long enough, and while we may never all agree about the outcome, I hope we can agree on what comes next. Please keep the proceeds of the settlement in East Quogue and give us the opportunity to invest in our community that we all care so much about. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Algieri. And after Ann, it's Christian Connolly.
Good afternoon, Supervisor and board members. I'm Ann Algieri. I'm a resident of East Quogue. I do sit on the Conservation Board. This has nothing to do with the board. I'm not representing anybody but myself. Christine is right. Our community has been torn apart by everything going on with Discovery Land, and we need to move forward. And we have been moving forward and working together. The Park District is one example of it. But if we're going to continue moving forward, I really believe that not a majority of the funds, but all of the funds need to be kept in East Quogue. We didn't get all of the benefits that were originally offered in the PDD. And so I'm hoping that that $1.5 million, that first payment, is going to stay there and cover what would have gone to the school, what would have gone to buying Ron Campsey's property for parking, et cetera. Also, in the original offering, there was a lot that was going to be offered to the fire department if they needed to put another station. That isn't there. The Parlato property, that was in the original FEIS. That was supposed to be for, to offset what would, what was it? That, which is located at the headwaters of Weesaw Creek, it was supposed to be offered for preservation, not just given to you to do whatever you wanted. And that was as a mitigation measure deemed necessary by Dr. Gobler in the FEIS for the PDD. Now, with no restrictions, it is being given to the town, yet none of the environmental concerns have disappeared. To bring the community together, I think that is very, very important that that be preserved. It is necessary environmentally as a buffer for what will come into our waters from the golf course. Also, let's see. I think I'll just leave it at that. That I hope, I mean, I have many other issues, but they could not be covered in 3 minutes, but I really believe that the money needs to be kept here in East Quogue. We need a lot done there, and I think that the Parlato property, that needs to be preserved and not developed in any way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann. All right, Christian Connolly, and after Christian, Jennifer Hartnagel.
Hi, Supervisor, Town Board. I'm Christian Connolly. I live in East Quogue. I'm reading a statement on behalf of the entire East Quogue East Quogue Citizens Advisory Committee, voting the board plus the voting committee, also signed by our wonderful fire department and all of the chiefs, plus President of the Historical Society, members of the Chamber Board. We are here in support of preserving the proposed settlement for the Hills project because we believe it represents a practical resolution after more than a decade of litigation, uncertainty, and division. For nearly 10 years, this community has debated this project. Throughout that time, the fundamental elements of the development have remained largely unchanged. The homes, golf course, clubhouse, and amenities were previously approved. The settlement before you does not create a new development. It resolves long-standing legal disputes while delivering tangible benefits to the town and to East Quogue. Those benefits are significant. The town would receive more than 32 acres of land for conservation and public use, $11.5 million in total payments, which we believe would be best invested directly back into the East Quogue community, permanent public trails and easements, environmental protections that remain fully intact, public parking, and charitable access to the golf course for local organizations. Just as importantly, this agreement resolves 3 lawsuits that have cost time, resources, and taxpayer money, allowing our community to move forward instead of continuing years of expensive litigation. One of the most meaningful ways these funds could benefit East Quogue would be through the creation of a long-awaited East Quogue Community Center. For years, residents have recognized the need for a dedicated gathering place that can serve our seniors, families, youth organizations, civic groups, and community programs. A community center would provide space for recreation, educational programming, cultural events, emergency preparedness, and year-round activities that strengthen the fabric of our hamlet. This settlement represents a rare opportunity to make that vision a reality by investing in an asset that will serve generations of East Quogue residents. Furthermore, we believe the settlement fund should be reinvested in the parts of our community most affected. The Hills development adds an additional responsibility to the East Quogue Fire Department, and settlement funds should be allocated for much-needed improvements to our fire and EMS protection. No settlement's perfect, and reasonable people can disagree on aspects of this project, but after 10 years, we have an opportunity to secure meaningful environmental, recreational, financial, and community benefits while bringing certainty to a matter that has divided the community for far too long. The decision is not simply about a golf course or development. It's about whether we choose a negotiated resolution that protects the town investments and delivers measurable public benefits, including the opportunity to invest in lasting community infrastructure, or whether we continue down a path of prolonged legal uncertainty with no guarantee of a better outcome. We respectfully ask the board to consider the long-term interest of East Quogue and the town of Southampton by preserving the benefits of this settlement, recognizing the importance of investing their resources in projects like an East Quogue Community Center, and voting in favor of all resolutions. I'm going to skip over the last part because Julia read it perfectly for us, but I'd just like to say again that this is signed by the East Quogue CAC board, the entire voting committee, the East Quogue Fire Department membership, the East Quogue Fire Department chiefs, and many, many other people. You've all received a copy of this anyways. Thank you very much. And on an aside, if Shinnecock Shores is looking for used park equipment, maybe if we get a new playground, which I know was in the process for the Lewis Road Park, maybe we could just give them the old stuff. I don't know, might help. Thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, Jennifer, and after Jennifer is Stephen
Rumpy.
Rumpy. Thank you.
Hi,
Hi.
Jen Hartnagel. I'm speaking on behalf of Group for the East End. I'm speaking on behalf of Bob DeLuca, our president, who couldn't be here, so I'm going to read a statement that he has asked me to read into the record. Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor and Town Board members. It is with deep regret that I'm unable to join you, but I ask that you carefully consider these comments as you contemplate rezoning the Lewis Road PRD to a mixed-use planned development district. It is tempting to think that this settlement will simply move the town past a long-running legal headache with little or no consequence to the community. In reality, your actions here will ultimately establish permanent and significant community planning, public trust, and lasting land use policy consequences for the entire town, including all of those who will seek to challenge town zoning by lawsuits and threats in the future, and all those who will seek to govern this town long after you are gone. With regards to this specific, it's hard to imagine that the town board is prepared to cut a deal that will allow Discovery to further intensify its already expansive multi-use golf course property in what is still the town's most restrictive residential zoning category, a zone adopted to specifically protect the region's groundwater resources and fragile pine barrens habitat. This settlement will surrender a town roadway, grant Discovery a financial windfall of 177 new golf memberships, potentially worth tens of millions of dollars, if not more, and reanimate a land use tool that was removed from the town code by unanimous vote of the town board. Remarkably, even the reanimation of the now defunct MUPDD fails to include tens of millions of dollars in additional public benefits that others have mentioned today from the original proposed Discovery application. From the purchase of Pine Barrens credits, water quality research funding, to a multi-million-dollar investment program, septic improvements, and on and on and on, none of these prior community benefits are considered. And for all of this, the town gets a few charity golf outings, a trailhead easement, parking spaces, a 35-acre acquisition, and $11.5 million check. The cash payment alone is more than unsettling. What's its purpose, and how will it help the people of East Quogue? Stepping back, why would the town opt for a settlement in the first place? The town's pending legal appeal is strong. The lower court's decision on appeal only required the town board to further evaluate the membership golf course. Remember, too, that the town's approval of the expansive Lewis Road PRD has given the developer virtually all that it wanted and saved it millions in community benefits. In our view, the town should sustain its appeal and resist coercive financial threats from developers, both now and in the future. As for the membership golf course, the proposal before you would legalize it regardless. So why not defend the public interest, the town zoning, and the town's legal position? In short, as developers' financial resources grow and undeveloped land becomes increasingly scarce, every East End municipality should expect more aggressive legal efforts to undo decades of planning and zoning land use policies that favor the public interest and natural resource protection over developers' profit margins.
30 seconds.
Ultimately, this challenge should not be answered with fear, surrender, or deal-making in the face of increasingly well-resourced land speculators. To that end, we ask that you reject this local law and its related settlement and further abandon any effort to create a new MUPDD. Stand up for the land use laws, make your strongest case before the appellate court, and resist the pressure that too often seek to turn the rule of law into let's make a deal. Southampton deserves better, and I believe you can meet that responsibility. Thank you for considering these comments, and we ask that you keep the record open for at least 2 weeks. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, the last card is Stephen Rempe. He might have left. Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom for this last public hearing?
Looks like
Yes, I have one hand up.
All right, hold on a minute. There's someone here that,
There's no one to sign in to add cards.
oh, okay. Why don't you come on up then? Just state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Mark Haves.
Oh. You've got a green card. That was be for
Okay, but talk
public
about
comment.
this.
Okay, thanks.
The zoning here, I've watched the battle from afar, and
Sunday.
I would like to know the 173 additional memberships, is it 500,000, 600,000? We don't know what those memberships are going to cost. None of us, probably in this room, are going to be lucky enough to be able to afford those memberships, so I have a problem with that. The other thing is, I believe the lots are being sold for $8 million, $7, $8 million for single-family housing. So one lot is getting almost the $10 million that the town will be receiving. I agree with the speaker who just came here. I don't know who had the opportunity to make this deal, but it is a deal that shouldn't have happened. I agree that it's wonderful that the town is going to have 4 charitable events there, but the numbers just don't work. And I think the town is not getting its fair share.
Thank you. All right, Kevin, why don't you bring on the Zoom, please?
Yeah, we have 2 people.
Hello?
Liz, are you there?
Kevin, we're not hearing anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her to turn her camera and mic on. Do you want me to bring the next person in?
Do you want to bring the next person in?
Kevin, I'm not sure, I don't think this is working. For us, anyway.
The next person in?
Jim, you have something you want to share with us? No. Okay. Just checking.
Marissa?
I'm here.
Hi.
Everyone, sorry I couldn't be there today. I'm Marissa Bridge. I'm the president of the East Quogue Civic Association. And I've been, concerned about and involved with fighting against the hills for the last 10 years, mainly because of environmental concerns. I want to make it clear that the people of East Quogue who have been against this project for so many years, it's not because they're against development or they're against big business. It's really because we want to preserve our water. That's our main issue. Water is our lifeblood. We cannot survive on this planet without it. And I really, really, really hope that everyone on this board keeps that in mind and keeps an eye on Discovery Land, make sure that they do everything they say, that they preserve the water aquifer that their huge development is sitting on top of. Second, I agree with everyone that's spoken about keeping the money in East Quogue. We really need it and we deserve it for fighting so hard for our community. Whether they were for or against it, we all want the best for our community. And I also agree that the Parlato property needs to be preserved for Weeza Creek runoff. And I just hope that everyone keeps in mind that our planet is very limited resources. Our water is precious to us. And please keep that in mind going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Is that it, Kevin? Do you want to try Liz one more time?
Yeah, let me try.
Janice, since water quality's come up a couple of times, I was wondering if you could speak for a moment about the groundwater monitoring program that is a requirement, and perhaps briefly speak about the benefits of a sewage treatment plant versus 118 individual septic units.
Okay. Let's hear from Liz.
It shouldn't have been that hard. I don't know why it didn't give me those options the first time.
Hi, Liz.
Hello. My name is Elizabeth Jackson, and I think that this project has possibilities, but I also have a few things. I thought maybe the two different items were going to be separate, so I'd have 3 minutes on each item. But in trying just to bring to light a few important details that haven't been mentioned yet that I think are relevant, I'm just going to just name them off as I go about. One question I had was the swapped land use, those lands that you're selling for the $10 million, part of which was alongside the Spinney Road upper level. Are they allowed to build additional amenities? Is that land that's now going to be able to be further developed, or is that going to be part of conservation space? When they originally were getting the PRD approved, the lands were to the nth degree on the percentage of required conservation space and open space. And as time has gone on, additional things have come up and new things have become problems. So any additional space that they are adding should be considered for the conservation area, since originally that was the point of having this land and having it zoned as it was in all of the many, many years we've been going about this. So that is one concern. Also, just so you know, it hasn't been mentioned, there was actually a trail easement that is part of the original approved plans that was a private easement that comes off of Verdun down by, I guess, the fruit stand or fruit farm stand, that was meant to be connecting this property to the town lands that would be where the trails are. and it wasn't supposed to be a public connection. It was supposed to be a private connection for residents. So I would assume that that is something that would also be included in the development of this new public trail system on public lands. And then in addition to the connection that was now being described in the settlement up near Sunrise Highway at the top part of Spinney Road. Also, the original language of the approvals, everything was established because of the original decisions by the ZBA that all of the recreational space and open space were to be owned and regulated by the homeowners association. At this point, we have used the words commercial, golf club, and things like this. Yes, I get the idea being that adding memberships is a big factor. But my question is, originally it was required that all of the amenities were to be under the ownership of the HOA. They have not followed that anyway, even though that was in the language of the laws. Currently, it looks like most of the golf course recreation space is all still under the name of the DLV Quag LLC. So that was already not in alignment with what the original approval was.
30 seconds.
Going forward, I think that is something that should be considered because all the CNRs are related to that. I do think I should be able to have 6 minutes since these are two different items on the agenda as well. I also have concerns over the fact that, so you know, this is going beyond the parameters of the original PRD district because the land that is the Parlato property, just another FYI, is not currently owned by Discovery if we're talking proper Discovery titles. It's DLV Parlato Parcel 33 and has been for all of time. Also, the land that they're dedicating to the parking spaces are on 67 Spinney Corporation property. I say that because at the same time, they've also purchased the Cracky Farm under the name of East Quag Farms and have been doing whatever they wanted to do in connection with everything that's going on at the property, at the project, but have continuously claimed, oh no, those aren't our people, we don't know who they are. But clearly it is the same entity. That is a problem for me when they can cut and paste where they want to include information on behalf of their clients and things like that. I think that all of this is going back to also this is conservation land. Percentage conservation space was established so that you had a certain percentage and that number was brought to the absolute tiny spot in between where the two would meet. And now we've lost other trees with the pine boars, boars, and things like this. So as far as, don't forget, the meat of this project is not just getting memberships. The meat of this project remains all of the agreed restoration space that has now been arid land for the past 4 years, all of the additional areas that were supposed to be recreational spaces and have been sitting as contractor trailers for the past 4 years. That's all space that the aquifer has been struggling. Those are areas that used to have wooded areas that were going back into our aquifer. Now we have all of that as being contractor space for like 4 years, and it's no end in sight. So these are things that should be considered heavily as you continue. I don't know that it would ruin your agreement in totality or anything like that, but I don't think it's as easy as just a handshake and then excitement. I also
Liz,
think
we're
that
at over 5 minutes, so if you could try to wrap it up.
the point of the GEIS studies that keep getting quoted was to benefit East Quag in its totality. And that's why it does jive to add the trail system, because that was also named in that original Western GEIS and the East Quag GEIS back in 20 years ago. That said, all of the other amenities like the trails and other things to incorporate into East Quag was included as well. So if we're going to use that as the reasoning for why this should go forward, we should also use the money and the lands to benefit the East Quag community, as that was the reason we were doing this in the first place.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay. And Liz, if you want to submit your comments to the record, please send them to townClerk@southamptontowny.gov.
Thanks.
Thank you. Scott, could you come up and just speak to at least that first remark that the speaker made about the Serenity Place parcels that are being sold for the $10 million?
Sure.
Whether those can be developed now. She's indicating that the property was maxed out to begin with.
DLV is locked into their existing site plan, so the parcels that are being sold by the town would not be for additional development. And to clarify what's being, I'll see if I can find them on these maps.
One is already portion of the golf course.
Yeah, part of the golf.
One of them crosses over the golf course, one of the holes, and the other one is a 50-foot wide strip of land off of Serenity Place that was at one point used as an access road for the Department of Highways to get to a gravel mine. Am I talking about the same strip? We're not talking about large lots of land. We're
And it's,
talking
and
about-
that strip was either in a fairway or it's a portion of an already buildable lot that was
Exactly.
already buildable.
Exactly.
So there's no concern about DLV using those lots for additional development. They're locked into their site plan, and the lots themselves aren't particularly buildable.
Right.
I don't know if they'd be preserved per se, but they're already incorporated into the approved site plan. And was there a second comment that you wanted me to address?
What did she say about the farm stand?
So the-
You're
the
more
farm-
familiar with it.
They bought the farm stand right next to it on another LLC, and they're using it for their equipment, and
There's all different lots throughout the development that are owned under by
I'm not
different
aware of
LLCs.
anything regarding the farm stand next door. As far as the other entities and the ownership, there's nothing suspicious or unusual about holding different properties in the name of different LLCs, and nothing about our settlement removes any of the covenants and restrictions that are already there, or any of the conditions that were imposed by the planning board. In fact, we incorporated all of those conditions and reiterated particularly the environmental conditions, and I believe you'd asked Janice to speak to the water monitoring in particular, to make sure that those carried through. So throughout the process, when DLV was developing this as of right, all of the environmental concerns that were raised early on, 9-10 years ago, have carried through in other contexts, whether in front of the planning board or in front of the Pine Barrens Commission, and there's been extensive environmental mitigation measures that are already imposed as part of the as-of-right development that are being incorporated and strengthened in what we've proposed.
Thank you, appreciate that.
thank you.
Janice?
Thank you. So just by way of background, we have organic protocols now on 3 golf courses in the town, Sabonic, The Bridge, and DLV, the Hills. We've been monitoring the Hills for 3 years. They were required as part of from the beginning to put in monitoring wells. We have
There's like a dozen wells or something around the
yes,
property,
there's
right?
wells all around the golf course, and as part of the golf course monitoring protocol, we have a hydrogeologist and
Martin Petrovic.
and we have Marty Petrovic, who's from Cornell, and we go there annually to talk about, you know, what the season was like, what's going on, you know, the things that golf course superintendents are worried about, POA and the rust, you know, all the different things that go on the turf. And if anything is put down, a chemical, and it comes out in the well sampling, so we have sampling, we monitor this down in my office, and it kicks in all these protocols that have to happen, where they have to resample it, they have to make sure, where did this come from? We had one issue, I forget which golf course it was, but they had put a little bit of sod to restore an area, and the
Golf with the
sod
Bridge.
came from New Jersey, and it had some kind of restricted use pesticide that is not allowed in New York. The well picked it up immediately.
Janice?
Figured out where it was from, then created a new protocol that said you have to grow your own sod or get local things that are, you know, basically pesticides are approved for use on Long Island. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. When a contaminant is detected, in addition to land management being triggered to assess, are there any other environmental agencies such as DEC that are on site, Suffolk County Health Department?
This protocol is agreed to by you and the Suffolk County Health Department. We've never had an instance where other than that small sod, and it was minutia, like we're talking very low level. It wasn't anything where we would initiate, you know.
I just want to make the point that the golf course can't willy-nilly put down whatever they want, right?
That's the point.
If they're using anything that's restricted, it's restricted at the point of sale, it's documented through the DEC records at the point of sale, and then they also have strict regulations as to they have to file reports every single year about every ounce and pound of
We check
chemical that
all
was
of
put
that.
down.
We look at their records, we look at their application rates, we look at whether or not the sprinklers are causing saltwater intrusion. Like, we look at all of this annually, and then every 5 years, you'll see me come here with those consultants and go through the whole thing, and then they make recommendations on protocols. Or in the last time we did a 5-year update, you allowed me to sign off on, like, if there's like a, hey, we're using this kind of, approved, whatever type of pesticide it may be, and we're looking to change to this, and these are and they have to give us a whole thing, and the list always has to be approved by DEC.
So we have a consultant.
We have
that we
two
work with
consultants
that analyzes all of this.
and independent sampling lab.
If we are triggered, correct?
Not even triggered. If that happens routinely, we get the sampling,
Okay.
we look at it, we give it
Think
to
it's
our
every
consultant.
quarter,
This is
the-
happening, yeah.
Quarterly, and-
There was protocols much stricter, and then over time, we we extend the timeframes. So we
And
have
what
a
we-
very strict protocol, and we are really committed to making sure that everything, and I think to the credit of these 3 golf courses, they've shown that an organic protocol is possible. It does work. It does not influence the aquifer. And so it's a win-win, because you have a majority of the area that could have been, in the case of, let's say, Sabonic or the bridge, these could have been houses everywhere. And instead, you have a lot of nature and no detriment to the aquifer.
So we'd had 2 courses that were initially approved in the town with
Yes.
this kind of methodology. Learning experience there was used in the planning board approving the system that's currently operating at the Hills.
Correct, and they approve an integrative pest management
And the
plan.
fertigation, where they recycle the water,
Fertigation,
right?
yes, you remember all of this. So it's using the best of
How
all
could
the
I forget?
information that we have and refining it as time goes on. They also grow their own native plantings, and that's like a little bit of an aside for the Pine Barrens type of vegetation, but they have a whole, sort of nursery stock, so they're able to use on-site vegetation when they need to, replace things. And so,
And the golf course gets shut down if.
and it's only
violated.
seasonal. And if it really swung to that, the extreme of the protocol is we do have the ability to say you can't operate until you rectify the situation, whatever that may be. But we haven't
All the
come to
years
that
we've done it, it's
because
never
all
happened.
these years, it has not happened.
Right.
And I've been here even when I wasn't the administrator and saw that none of this it's never been a problem. So as long as everybody's acting as they should, as we've all agreed, then we haven't had any problem.
I just-
And to your, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I apologize. To your question about the aquifer, as far as the sanitary system goes, you had 118 houses that would have been on an IA system, let's say they were each on an IA system. That's still, the number there is like 19 milligrams per liter. Now you have 118 total on less than 10 milligrams per liter. So not 2,000 some odd milligrams per liter, less than 10 for the whole thing. That's extraordinary. So that's where the sewage treatment plant
118 individual homes on 5-acre property.
times, let's say 19 milligrams per liter, each one at best. The IA systems, that's where they are. And if they sometimes could be lower, but that's the standard. And then, or what we have is a sewage treatment facility that also takes care of the affordable, workforce housing, and that will all be less than 10, which is the drinking water standard. So.
And I
mean,
can
that's-
testify that they actually did build it, because due to a clerical error, all of the parts came to my house.
Oh. Great. So did you have any other questions about the groundwater?
Thank you.
No.
It's just worth noting that the town the taxpayers don't pay for all of that monitoring. They are paid for by the individual golf courses. I just want to make that clear.
Yes, and just so everyone knows how we do that, is that they pay the town. We create a restricted account, and then we pay the sampling people, so they work for us. So it's not, so that's how that works. So they're.
And I would like to have a work session, though, to go over those, because I know that you get those, and it would be helpful, I think, to this board. I don't think this board specifically has had a work session with Martin Petro. I don't think you guys haven't, right?
I
No.
haven't.
And so I think that might be helpful. I don't think this
Sure.
board has.
We can invite him to come. He comes in the fall. I meet him, we go to the golf courses, we meet the superintendents, we talk about what happened in the past year in the growing season, and, we look at all their reports.
And then maybe
So I
after that,
think-
he comes back here.
And after that, he comes back, and, we kind of go on from there. We're almost at the next 5-year mark, which is shocking to me. But, so, yeah, I can arrange that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Janice. All right, well, that's it for the comments. Nobody else has anything. I'm suggesting that we close the public hearing, but leave it open for written comments for 2 weeks. If anybody else has any other
Makes sense.
suggestions?
Does that give us enough time for agency comments, Janice?
Oh,
Are we waiting?
planning board already.
We didn't see, I don't speak for everyone here, but I don't believe I saw the planning board's comments.
I did.
Could you
They're
tell us?
filed.
They're filed,
I
but
have them.
was there anything that,
I did not see anything.
brief.
It was
I
brief.
got it from
was
the clerk's
supporting
office.
the-
It was just-
Supporting the settlement and PDD.
it just supported the
concerns.
settlement?
One paragraph.
But if we didn't get the planning commission,
That I didn't see.
just make sure we have that, and that's usually, where are we in August? If you close it and just allow for, except leave it open for the record for agency comments, that will cover us.
Okay,
And
so
then-
not a particular time, well, 2 weeks for public comments and then further for any agency
And then
comments.
agency comments, if they didn't talk about it, either they're gonna give us a local determination, or it's going to be on their agenda, it's usually the first week in September that the commission meets.
Okay.
I mean, the first week of the month, whatever month, so. Yeah.
Thanks, Janice. Thank you.
I just have a quick comment. I just want to say that we should really take into consideration what the public has stated, both here at this meeting, and we've received tons of emails really emphasizing the necessity of the settlement funds to be granted for the hamlet of East Quogue. And I think one of the things, I'm not the liaison to East Quogue, but one of the things that this board should consider is developing some kind of delegate committee to help determine the allocation of the funding, to understand what is coming into the town, and discuss what are the best ways with stakeholders that are local to the hamlet. That includes the school district, it includes the first responders, it includes the businesses. I mean, you really want to make sure that because this board isn't going to be here forever. I trust everybody here to really make a concerted effort, but we all are limited in our terms. We have also lives. You don't know who's going to go where. And, I think that's really important. I also, just on a side note, want to emphasize too that I applaud this board. And by the way, the community, I know the community has dealt with, I went to a East Quogue Civic meeting earlier this year. I saw how important this issue was to many of the members, whether they were for or against this. I want to say that, I agree with settlement. I think settlement is important in the long term. Not just with this issue, there are millions of dollars that are being spent on litigation. I hope, and I really encourage my fellow colleagues to put in equal effort into other settlement matters pertaining to litigation with the town, because we deserve as much funding as we can to help ensure the needs of our residents and community. So I just want to state that.
You, Michael.
To Michael's point, I am the liaison to East Quogue, and I will say, rather than reinventing the wheel, we do have the East Quogue Citizens Advisory Committee, and there are members at our school board members, civic members, beautification members, fire department members. They're all a part of our CAC already, so I think that would be a good place. It already is an established town committee in East Quogue.
Right, no, but because it's coming into the town, it's important that the money's not going directly to East Quogue, it's coming to the town. I think it should be a much more extensive committee that is established to understand where that money is going, not just, folks attending a meeting and having a discussion at a CAC meeting. It should be much more formalized so we understand collectively as a town where that money is going.
And also you have to spend the money wisely, because we do in a community youth center in West Hampton, that's like 8.5, I think. And
Million, yeah.
if we duplicate that in East Quogue, that's a good chunk of the money, just to do that one project.
And as, having been on the planning board in 2022, and now being on the town board, I just want to say with regard to the comments of the folks here today and some of the others, you know, that we've heard from, and having been involved in 2022 at the planning board level, you know, it's good to see that the feeling of getting over the divisiveness and you know, making the best of this situation, I think is something that as a board member, it's good to see. You know, we saw a very great, you know, there was a lot of loud hearings, long hearings, and it's, you know, kind of nice that the community is coming together and saying, let's solve this and let's, you know, move on. So it's good to see.
Yeah, and as somebody who has been through every single public hearing, through every regulatory board with this project from the beginning, I mean, this is, I think, you know, the community in East Quogue has really come together, and they're all working together, and they all want to see a resolution to this. And, you know, those opposed will always be opposed, and, you know, they're not going to be happy, you know, either way. But I think, as you've heard, even some people that were vocal, very strong opponents of the project are understanding of the fact that we need to heal as a community, we need to move forward. And, you know, it was nice today to hear from a broad spectrum of our community in East Quogue that are now, you know, wanting to move forward. And there was a lot of work put into the settlement, I mean, years. So it wasn't just something that the town board willy-nilly agreed to. The highway superintendent came to the table, we were all involved in this. And, you know, I think where we're at, and, you know, to Councilman Iacili's point of settling other lawsuits, that this was a step forward on something that is, you know, over a decade in the making. And I really think it is a positive thing for the community to move forward on this, so.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for the comments. So I renew my motion to close the public hearing with a 2-week public comment period and then hold it open further for any agency comments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
You have to close both hearings separately.
Oh, no, do you, since you opened them? Yeah.
You must close them separately.
okay.
They each
Thought
have
you
to
were
have their own
asking me.
individual vote.
I just wait till everybody kind of walks out.
Well,
Yes.
I don't know if you wanted to give that.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, because you told him to contact you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's all right.
Did you already submit this to my office? No. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Can you, if you're gonna want to talk, can you please go outside? We have to continue the meeting.
Thanks, Janice.
And so that was for the 4th public hearing, and then I moved to close the 5th public hearing with a 2-week comment period, and then further held open for agency comments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, for the reminder.
Ready?
Alrighty.
Resolution 2026-1152.
We got public portion.
Just a public portion. Don't have any cards.
Yeah, he had, that was meant for public portion, but he also wanted to speak on the Hills, so.
Oh, I thought it was, you just had the wrong color. Well, please step on up. It said zoning.
I was here, obviously, Mark Haves, Shinnecock Hills, trying to get some of you guys to understand how the zoning in this town needs to be changed. Seems like the corner from me, 3 big lots were totally ripped down and cleared, and I'm sure they'll end up having probably 8 to 10,000 foot houses on those 3 lots. The zoning in the Shinnecock Hills area, the lots, number of lots and new construction is very, very dense. We have to limit the size of these houses. Each house, somebody mentioned, brings in 7 or 8 new cars between gardeners, housekeepers, grandchildren, and family. The roads just can't accept it. We have to slow down the zoning, redo the zoning. I don't know how that gets done, but I challenge you guys to let me know and see if I can figure out a way to control these mega mansions. Everything is getting ripped down, rebuilt, especially in the village, Southampton. You have to have some controls. Otherwise, from West Hampton to Southampton will be a 2-hour ride. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom, you accept that challenge?
Yeah. We have conversations about this and trying to come up with ways to better manage some of these housing and developments and growth, yes.
It's too big. I mean, you have, a 5-acre lot, and you're allowed to technically build 20,000 feet.
Yeah, we're not in the right place to talk about setbacks and other restrictions, but there are things we're looking at,
Have to
yes.
do it tomorrow. I mean, really.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom for a public portion?
No one on Zoom.
I'll move to close public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Now you can go, Bill.
Resolution 2026.
Resolution 2026-1144, co-sponsored by Councilmember Iacilli, to declare items surplus and to authorize the disposal of old portable radios.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to go now.
Yes, please.
Resolution 2026-1152, authorize the supervisor to sign contract with Kofi Technology, Inc. for document.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1154, authorize the supervisor to sign contract with Kofi Technology, Inc. for document restoration.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Actually, can I be added to that, if that's okay? Thank you.
Town Board Resolution 1155 of 2026, co-sponsored with Councilman Neely. Recall and amend Resolution 923 of 2026, authorize supervisor to sign a no-cost contract extension with H2M Architects, Engineers, Land Surveying, and Landscape Architecture, DPC, to provide professional engineering services for the Hampton Bays Water District wellhead treatment for PFAS treatment at plant number 3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Anybody else going to vote?
I said aye.
Aye, said aye.
Maria?
Resolution 2026-1159, authorize supervisor to sign a sole source contract with Comtech, Inc. for Pavo Green biodegradable adjustable solvent. Solvent.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1163, to authorize the supervisor to sign a subscription amendment with Zendesk for ticketing and tracking system. Tracking? All in favor? Aye. Resolution 2026-1168, to authorize the purchase of multi-function plotter from Toshiba Business Solutions using the Omnia Partners contract number as indicated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Maria? You have a hand up for the public portion?
We're out of
Closed
it.
it.
Okay.
Resolution 2026-1171, co-sponsored with Councilperson Neely, recall and rescind Town Board Resolution Number 2026-1130, authorize supervisor to sign a proposal with Tri-State Planning, Engineering, and Land Surveying, PC, TSPE, for survey work.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Kevin, they can send us their comments.
Town Board Resolution 2026-1174, co-sponsored with Councilmember McNamara, to authorize the supervisor to sign an amended agreement with the Southampton Volunteer Ambulance Company, Inc.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1175, to authorize a joint municipal cooperative bidding program for the school year 2026-2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1176 to authorize the supervisor to sign a no-cost contract extension with the Rayner Group, PE and LS PLLC, to provide professional services related to the engineering design of the new sanitary systems at the Southampton Animal Shelter facility.
Second, and
Second.
co-sponsor, Madam Clerk?
Can you add me too, please?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1177 to authorize purchases of Motorola radios from Motorola Solutions, Inc., using the New York State OGS contract number as indicated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1178 to authorize purchases of public safety communications equipment and services from Island Tech Services LLC using the New York State OGS contract number as indicated. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1180 to award the mini bid 1006-26 and authorize the purchase of two 2026 Chevrolet Trailblazer LS from Denoyer Chevrolet, Inc., using the New York State OGS contract for vehicles Class 1-8 statewide.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1182, authorize supervisor to execute a master service agreement with Cantaloupe, Inc. for credit card process service. This is-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1184, co-sponsored by Councilmember Iacilli, to declare items surplus and to authorize the disposal of vehicles.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
2026-1185, authorized purchase of Hitachi used Sourcewell contract using 0111723 HTI.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to go back to
Cantaloupe?
the Cantaloupe credit card process. This is for the machines at the dumps, at the transfer station for the
Oh,
bags.
great.
So hopefully that'll be up soon. We've been waiting a long time.
I see the vending machine when
Oh,
when I
yeah,
go.
the machines
Yes.
are there.
Yeah, this is what
Not
this
the
is for.
software.
Great.
Tom?
Resolution 2026-1187 to authorize acceptance of the New York State and Municipal Facilities Program Award for Iron Point Park Sports lighting equipment, and to authorize the town supervisor to execute the DASNY grant documents.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I want to just thank our Assemblyman Scavone for providing that funding for us, for $200,000.
I'm the liaison to that project. Could you put me as a co-sponsor? Thank you.
Resolution 2026-1203 to appoint a town archaeologist in conformance with Town of Southampton Town Code, Chapter 330, zoning, Section 333, protection and treatment of unmarked graves.
Second.
I just want to move to amend to add the funding impact, that funding is not to exceed the budget, and then to include the code,
Section?
yeah, and
And
you
you have
have
it.
that, all right, so.
Can I just, I just want to thank John Halsey, Jackie Fenlon, as well as Christine Scalera and Jim for working on this. I know this took quite a bit of work, but we really dove into the code and found out what we needed to do, and I just want to thank everybody for their collective work on this.
So I need to, so somebody who's going to
Bill
second
seconded.
as, for the amendment?
Oh, second on the amendment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wait a second. Who's the second on the amendment?
I am.
You are. And then you're the second on the resolution.
Correct, correct.
And can you add me too while you're
We have to-
down there, please?
We have
You're
to
so far
vote.
away now.
We have to vote on both of them.
Yes. I mean, I just am trying to do all these things at once. So is Bill the only one who wants to be added to this? Okay. So the first one is the amendment, which is,
You can add me too. So the first one is the amendment, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then as amended?
Aye.
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 Thank you, all right, thank you.
Resolution 2026-1128, notice the bidders for mattress and box spring recycling.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Actually, that saves a lot. Them being thrown on the road. Resolution
Yeah.
2026-1164, notice the bidders for Penny Park bid package number 2026-0042. Can't wait for them to come back.
Second
Yay.
and co-sponsor, Madam Clerk?
All in favor?
Aye.
Co-sponsor with the supervisor.
Second, just, hold on. Okay. Okay. Resolution 2026-1195 to amend the 2026 budget for various departments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 2026-1201, the establishment of the Shinnecock Community Preservation Fund's Stewardship Committee. Again, I want to thank Jackie Fenlon, Dan McCormick, Christine Scalera, and John Halsey, as well as Denise Silva Dennis, who's with the Neomuc Land Trust. She was very instrumental in this as well, providing us with insights on a lot of the culturally important matters pertaining to this work. So I just want to thank everybody again for their collective efforts.
And I'll second. Oh,
Thank you.
both second.
Resolution 20.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1045, resolution to adopt and amend Town Code, Chapter 312, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 5, Parking Prohibited and Designate Location, Section 312-24, Bridgehampton, Sagaponic, and subsection A, parking vehicles are prohibited in any of the following locations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1166 of 2026 waives showmobile fee for East Quogue Fire Department Annual Seafood and Beer Festival.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1167 of 2026 authorized waiver of Parks and Recreation Facility use fee for the Hampton Bays Lions Club 15th Annual Over the Bridge 10K Run and 5K Run Walk on September 19th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1179, authorized waiver of Hampton Bays Community Center facility use fees for SEPA Muhair classes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1188 of 2026 grant 2026 junkyard permits for various businesses.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1183 to accept a resignation in the Highway Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1189 to appoint Antonio Scotto DiCarlo to maintenance mechanic position in the Hampton Bays Water District.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1190 to appoint Kathleen Powers Vermeulen to the senior office assistant position in municipal works.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1197 to appoint Monica Rodriguez to office assistant position in human resources.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1199 to replace legislative secretary title with chief legislative aide title in the trustees and to appoint Jessica Feldman.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1200 to recall and amend Highway Resolution 2025-1174, appointing a hearing officer to correct the daily rate.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1206 to appoint Olivia Collado to senior neighborhood aide position in senior services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1172, co-sponsored by council members Pell and McNamara, a notice of public hearing to consider water quality improvement project requested by the Town of Southampton Land Management Department for Hampton Bays Sewer System Design Engineering.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, so we could move forward now and hire an engineer to do the design.
Big step
Great,
forward,
yep.
yeah.
Resolution 2026-1173, co-sponsored by council members Pell and McNamara, a notice of public hearing to consider a water quality improvement project requested by the Hampton Bays Water District for funding wellhead treatment for the removal of PFAS at plant number 3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1191, notice, co-sponsored by the entire board, a notice of public hearing to consider the acquisition of 9 The Bridge in the hamlet of Noyak, New York, and to amend the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Resolution 2026-1192, co-sponsored by the entire board, a notice of public hearing to consider the acquisition of 21 Cold Spring Court in the hamlet of Shinnecock Hills and to amend the CPF project plan and CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1186, co-sponsored by the entire board, to recall and amend resolution number 2026-0544, the acquisition of 3841 Lake Avenue in the hamlet of Northampton and to amend the CPF project plan and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Second.
So it's just assigning the contract.
Or something.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1193, co-sponsored by council members Silly, McNamara, and Neely, to authorize the acquisition of 658 Flying Point Road in the hamlet of Watermill and to amend the CPF project plan and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
I recuse myself on this vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Bill's recused. Thank you. Resolution 2026-1194, co-sponsored by the entire board, to authorize the acquisition of 405 Old Canoe Place Road in the hamlet of Shinnecock Hills and to amend the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have our walk-ons. The first, Resolution 2026-1210, to recall and amend Resolution 2026-1158.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1211, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara, to recall and amend Resolution 2026-0952, authorizing the supervisor to sign a contract with Source Pass Contemporary LLC for the Parks North Sea Barn Network Infrastructure Upgrades.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that's yours.
Resolution 2026-1212, authorized change order in the sidewalks and improvement of Noyak Road with Rosemont Contracting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1219 is the warrant 15, capital number 15, CPF number 15, dated August 11th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026.
Scrivener error.
Yeah, I think it's just in the thing. Yeah, 2026-1220, a notice of public hearing to, oh, I'm sorry, co-sponsored by the entire board. Notice of public hearing to consider the acquisition of 27 Dune Road in the hamlet of East Quogue and to amend the CPF project plan and CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-1221, authorized supervisors to sign a grant agreement with North Sea Maritime Center and use for Water Quality Protection Fund to support their education mission.
Co-sponsor and second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. Any other comments, anybody? No other business. I move to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.